Let me ask you something, and take your time before you answer. What if the life you quietly dream about, the bigger and freer one you picture on your tired evenings, is written in a language you don't fully speak yet? Maybe you've been learning English for years, or maybe you keep starting and stopping. A new app in January, a notebook you abandoned by March, and somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like a door and started feeling like a chore. Grammar, tests, words that never seem to stick. But tonight, I don't want to talk about English as a subject you have to pass. I want to show you what it really is underneath all of that, and why it might change your life far more than you think. So put down whatever you're carrying for a moment, take a slow breath, and just listen. This one is gentle, and it's for you. You know the feeling. You study, and still your mouth freezes the moment it's your turn to speak. You understood every word they said, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. Just silence and a warm rush of embarrassment. You watch other people speak English so easily, so lightly, and a small voice starts up inside you. Maybe I'm just not good at this. Maybe my brain isn't built for it. Maybe it's simply too late for me. So some evenings, you want to quit. You look at the clock, tired from your whole day, and you wonder why you're spending the little time you have left on this. What is the point of one more list of words you'll probably forget by Friday? So if you're tired tonight, I'm not going to tell you to try harder. I'm going to tell you what that tiredness actually means. And I want you to know, I understand. When English is only tests and rules and read corrections, it is exhausting. It feels like climbing a wall that has no top, in the dark, alone. And here's the quiet lie that wall tells you: that you're behind, that everyone else got it and you missed the moment, that this difficulty is proof you should stop. And the strangest part? The wall feels highest right before it breaks. That heavy, hopeless feeling is so often the last thing you feel just before something finally clicks. Because it isn't about talent. The people who speak English beautifully didn't have a special gift you were born without. They just kept turning the key. On the boring days too. On the days they felt stupid, long after they wanted to stop. They were no braver than you are right now. They simply decided, quietly, that the boring days counted too, that showing up when it felt pointless was the whole point. And slowly, the door took shape. You didn't fail English. English was just handed to you as a test when it was always meant to be a door. Because here is what no one ever told you in all those years of homework. You were never really learning a subject. You were quietly building a door. And behind that door is a whole life you haven't met yet. Rooms you've never stood in. People you haven't laughed with. A version of you that you can only reach in another language. The tiredness you feel isn't a sign that you're failing. It's the weight of carrying a key you simply haven't turned yet. So let me show you, gently, what is waiting on the other side. Here is the shift I want you to feel tonight. Not just understand, but feel. English is not a subject you study. It is a second life you are slowly, quietly building. Every word you learn is not a thing to memorize and be tested on. It is a key. And every single key opens a door to a bigger world, a wider version of you, a freedom that most people around you will never unlock. You are not studying a language. Read that again, slowly. You are unlocking a life. It's the difference between counting bricks and picturing the house they'll become. Same bricks, a completely different feeling, a completely different life. And the moment you truly see it this way, everything changes. The endless lists stop feeling like a wall you'll never climb and start to feel like a ring of keys in your hand, a little heavier, a little more powerful every single day. So let me walk you through the doors this quietly builds. One at a time. There are 4 of them, and the last one changes everything. The first door is the widest one of all. Open it, and behind it is the entire world. Think for a moment about how much of this planet speaks English, not as everyone's mother tongue, but as the bridge between them. It is the language 2 strangers reach for when they share no other. A Vietnamese traveler and a Brazilian one meeting in a train station, both speaking their imperfect, beautiful English. Half the world is quietly waiting on the other side of that first door, and English is the handle. When you speak it, the internet stops being a room with half the doors locked. The best videos, the deepest courses, the books that could change how you think, so many of them live in English. Suddenly, the whole library of the world swings open for you. Think of every recipe, every tutorial, every quiet 3 in the morning answer to a question you were afraid to ask anyone. The sum of human knowledge leans toward English, and you get to lean in and take it. You can watch a film and feel every line land in real time without your eyes darting to the subtitles. You can hear a song from across the ocean and understand in your chest exactly why it made millions of people cry. And every subtitle you no longer need is a small wall that has just quietly fallen. The world stops being something you watch through a pane of glass and becomes something you are standing inside of. And it's not only the big things. It's a menu you can finally read, a street sign you can follow, a joke on the internet that suddenly, for the first time, actually makes you laugh out loud. And when you travel, the whole planet gets smaller and warmer and kinder. You can ask, thank, apologize, joke, connect in almost any airport, any market, any late-night street in a city you've never seen. You are never fully a stranger again. Imagine that, landing somewhere completely new, 10,000 kilometers from home, and still being able to turn to the person beside you and simply say hello and be understood. The same few words that felt so heavy in a classroom become the lightest, warmest thing in the world when they're the reason a stranger smiles back at you. That is the first door, a bigger world, not just to look at from far away, but to walk straight into. But the next door is quieter, and it surprises almost everyone. The second door doesn't open onto the world out there. It opens onto you. Here is something strange and a little beautiful. When you speak another language, you slowly become a slightly different person inside it. In your own language, you carry the full weight of every old habit, every memory of being corrected, every fear of how you sound. But in English, you get a small, clean, fresh start, a little braver, a little lighter, a version of you with fewer walls around the heart. You learn new ways to say things, and slowly, without noticing, new ways to think them. Every language holds ideas that yours might have no single word for, and so your mind quietly grows rooms it never had before. You might notice it first in small ways. You're a touch funnier in English, a little more direct. You say things you'd never quite dare to say in your own language to your own people. There's a quiet confidence that grows too, almost in secret. Every time you say something in English and watch someone's face show that they understood, a small proof lands softly inside you. I can do hard things. I am still learning. I am, after everything, growing. And that confidence doesn't stay in your English. It leaks, gently, into the rest of your life. Someone who learned to speak up in a second language often finds it a little easier to speak up in their first, at work, with family, and finally, for themselves. People who never once heard you speak up in your first language will get to meet a whole new you in your second. You do not lose yourself in another language the way you might fear. You meet more of yourself, parts that were always there, just waiting for the words to let them out. Learning to speak again as an adult is a rare kind of courage. Most people stop growing where it feels safe. You chose to feel clumsy and small on purpose so that one day you could become larger. It's as if the new language hands you a slightly different face, not a fake one, but a freer one. The you that's been standing quietly behind the shy one all along. That is the second door, a wider self. But the door that changes people the most is the one that comes next. The third door is the one I love the most. It doesn't open onto places or even onto you. It opens onto other people. So much of our loneliness has a quiet, simple cause, a small world. A handful of people who happen to speak your language, think a little like you, and live somewhere near you. And English gently breaks that wall wide open. Think of everyone you have never gotten to know, not because you didn't care, but only because of the language standing between you. English slowly erases that line. Suddenly, you can talk to someone on the other side of the planet at 2 in the morning when you can't sleep, a friend in another country, a teacher you would never have met, a stranger at first who slowly becomes something like family. You can read the words of people who lived 100 years ago and feel understood by someone long gone. You can comfort a person you will never meet in real life in words they will actually feel and be comforted right back. Some people find their closest friends in English. Some quietly find love. Some find a whole community that finally, after all these years, understands them, the community their hometown never had room for. A grandmother's story from another culture. A stranger's kindness in a comment under a video. A friendship that starts with 3 broken sentences and lasts for years. All of it, waiting. You stop feeling like life is happening somewhere else, in a language you can't quite reach, behind a glass you can't quite open. You get to be in the room where it's happening, in the conversation, in the joke, in the moment. Because in the end, language was never really about words at all. It was always only about reaching another human being and feeling them reach back toward you. The world is full of people who would have loved you if only the two of you had shared a language. English quietly introduces you to them, and English hands you millions more people to reach, millions more chances to be understood and to understand. That is not a small thing. Some evenings, that might be the whole thing. And you never know which broken, nervous little conversation becomes the friendship that quietly carries you through your hardest year. One message, one comment, one nervous hello typed out and almost deleted. That is how most of the warmest chapters of a life quietly begin. That is the third door, connection, the quiet cure for a world that had grown too small. There is one door left, and it is the one that changes what your whole life is even able to hold. The fourth door is freedom, and it opens more slowly than the others, but it opens the widest of all. Every room in the world that used to be close to you simply because you didn't have the words begins, one by one, to quietly open. A job you couldn't even apply for. A course you couldn't take. A meeting where you had to sit in silence while ideas moved past you. A dream that always felt one size too big for your life. English quietly shrinks the distance to every one of them. It can mean more choices, better work, a wider set of doors you're actually allowed to walk through. Not because English makes you worth more, please hear this, you were always already worth it, but because it removes the walls that were never really about you in the first place. And it compounds, the way small things do. One skill opens one door, and behind that door are 3 more you couldn't even see before. A little English today can quietly reroute where your entire life ends up in 10 years. And freedom isn't only about work and money, though it touches those too. It's the freedom to change your mind about who you're even allowed to become. The quiet teenager who learns English becomes the adult who can move to another country. The shy employee becomes the one in the meeting who finally speaks. Small keys, enormous doors. And maybe the deepest freedom of all is this simple one. The freedom to say what you truly mean to anyone and be understood. To never again have to swallow your own voice just because you couldn't find the words in time. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit the words you have and start growing your words to fit your dreams. Every I could never quietly becomes maybe I could. And then one ordinary day, it becomes I did. And you rarely notice the exact moment it happens. You just look up one ordinary day and realize the room you were once locked out of is a room you now walk through without even thinking. That is the 4th door, freedom, the quiet undoing of every I can't you were ever handed. 4 doors, a bigger world, a wider self, deeper connection, and freedom. And now, here is the part one most want you to carry with you when this ends. You don't have to walk through all 4 of them today. You don't have to rush, because you already have the key in your hand. It's the small, boring, ordinary practice you very nearly gave up on. Every word you learn tonight is turning a lock, right now, somewhere in your future. You just can't hear it click yet. You can't see that particular door swing open from where you're standing, but it is moving. So the tiredness, the slow weeks, the days you wanted to throw the book across the room, none of it was ever wasted. That was you, quietly building a second life. One word, one evening, one small key at a time. You are not behind. Let that go tonight. You are simply mid-build. Every single learner who ever became fluent once stood exactly where you are standing now, tired, unsure, and only ever one more word away. Every key on your ring tonight was earned on a day you didn't feel like showing up. That isn't weakness. That is the whole secret. And that second life isn't waiting somewhere far in your future. You felt it just now, didn't you? You understood this whole reflection, every image, every turn in English. That door is not ahead of you. You are already standing inside it. Picture yourself 1 year from tonight, having simply kept going, a little each day, not perfect, just consistent. Think of how many of these doors will already be open behind you. You won't remember tonight's individual words a year from now, but you'll feel them. In the ease of a conversation, the calm of a trip, the quiet pride of understanding something you once couldn't. So please, don't stop. Not because you have to, not out of fear or pressure, but because of everything and everyone quietly waiting on the other side. A little each day. That is genuinely all it takes. So tonight, before you close your eyes, learn just one more word. Not for a test and not for anyone else. For the door it quietly unlocks and the life waiting patiently on the other side of it. The person you are becoming is already reaching back through that door to take your hand. Please don't let go now. The wall was never really a wall. It was always a door. And the key was always, always in your hand. If this gave you a little hope tonight, a little reason to keep going, then stay with me a while. Subscribe, and I'll meet you right here again next week with another quiet reflection to rest inside of. And if you'd like an easy, gentle way to keep turning those keys, just a little English every single day, our 1000 Chunks series is the softest place to practice. One small, real phrase at a time. No wall, just the next key. For now, be proud of yourself. Truly, every word you have ever learned was a small act of hope, a quiet bet placed in the dark on a bigger and freer life. So keep going, gently and at your own pace. Be gentle with yourself. I'll be here in our quiet corner whenever you need to come back. Take care.